A couple years ago, I used to do a hot take series every Wednesday where I would react to your hottest Bulls takes on both Twitter and on my YouTube community page. I don't do that series anymore, but I do still do these reaction videos from time to time to get you guys involved in the content. And given we're heading in the dead of the offseason, we're all kind of just waiting on the Josh Giddey news at this point. And because it's a Wednesday, just like the good old times, we're going to do a hot takes video where I'll react to your guys' latest Bulls takes. So without further ado, let's get into some of these, shall we? So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Our first take comes to us from Camilo. Coby White will average 25 points per game next season and appear in his first All-Star game. You know, initially I reacted to this harshly when I first saw it. I'm like, come on now, he's not going to suddenly put up 25 points per game. But then when I thought about it more, and of course remembering how Coby closed out the season last year where he won Eastern Conference Player of the Month when he averaged nearly 28 points per game in March, and on even larger sample size post All-Star break over 26 games, he averaged 24.5. And doing so on very efficient shooting splits. Like, I don't think it's out of the question for Coby to average 25 points per game if in fact he remains with the Bulls for the whole season, simply because he's going to be the Bulls' primary option. The Bulls, as of right now, don't have that much offensive talent. His usage is going to go up. He's going to get more shots with the full season without Zach LaVine. So I went from thinking that this was a smoking hot take to, yeah, I could actually see him averaging 25 points per game over the course of a season. However, I don't think he's going to be an all-star, and a big reason for that is I don't think the Bulls are going to have the record to give him enough votes for an all-star nod, regardless if he averages over 25 points per game. Next up, we've got Kyle. Modest will win Most Improved Player of the Year, and I got a lot of these takes, by the way, about Modest winning Most Improved Player of the Year. I mean, it's going to need to be a big leap for Modest to win that award. Very rare where we've seen a player win Most Improved Player of the Year in his second season. I do think he'll likely get some votes just because we know, or at least we hope, he's going to get the requisite playing time for the whole season, unlike last year, so you'd expect that with more minutes, higher usage, bigger stats, you're going to see a big increase in his overall production from last season that would warrant at least some consideration for Most Improved Player of the Year, where he would get some votes. But you also have to remember that Coby, after averaging less than 10 points per game as a role player off the bench to 20 points per game and a key contributor and starter for the Bulls, and he still didn't win the award, even though I think we all would agree that he should have won the award over Tyrese Maxey. But regardless, it's going to have to be a big jump from Modest Buzelis, which is still a lot to ask for of a 20-year-old second-year player. Next, we've got this one from Kabamidi. An open roster spot is more valuable than Patrick Williams, even if it means paying him to play elsewhere, aka waiving him. I actually don't get this rationale that I've seen from a lot of Bulls fans actually on Twitter about how the Bulls should just trade Pat at all cost, even if it means doing a salary dump and moving assets to get off of his deal, or in this example, waiving him. Like, as bad of a season as Pat had, and I think most of us are over the Pat Williams experience and have accepted that he's not going to be that guy the Bulls can work with going forward, but the Bulls aren't going to be competing for anything next season. It's not like you have to be opening up roster spots and cutting dead weight because you're trying to compete now. No, right now the Bulls actually have time on their side, and you don't try and trade a young player where their value is at its lowest, or worse, take on dead money on your books just to get off his deal. Which isn't horrendous, by the way, at least from a tradable contract standpoint. So no, I don't think it's more valuable having an open roster spot than having Pat on the roster, because who are you going to fill that roster spot for anyway? Again, if there is a team willing to take on Pat's contract and the Bulls don't have to give away future assets, or say for whatever reason they're willing to give the Bulls something in return, like a second round pick even, sure, you absolutely do that. But no team is giving up future assets for 4 years left on Patrick Williams' contract after the kind of season he just had. It's just not happening. Next up, we've got Alejandro, the account owner for Local Bulls Fan, who also does great work, by the way. Check out his stuff. Give him a follow on Twitter as well. His take is Modest will be the Bulls' best player by the end of the season. Interesting. My guess is you're saying this with the assumption that Coby White is traded by the deadline, because I do think it would be very unlikely for Modest to have that kind of a breakout year in his second season where it's already clear that he's the Bulls' best player by the end of the year, unless Coby is traded. And even then, I still think it's kind of a stretch, because I would still think, or hope anyway, otherwise it means he's had a really bad season under a new, larger contract, but I would think that Giddey would still be considered a better player than Modest Buzelis by the end of the year, at least at this point in time. Obviously, I think Modest has a higher ceiling, and say maybe 2 to 3 years, he would be the best player on the roster. I will say, though, that if it's clear by the end of the season that Modest Buzelis is the Bulls' best player, that's actually a great sign, because it means he's already ahead of schedule in terms of his development, and it's a great sign for the Bulls' future overall. Next up, we've got Jared Lindy. The Bulls are going to finish 6th in the Eastern Conference. I got a lot of these takes as well, by the way, so just going to do one here. While yes, This is a hot take, and yes, I think it's unlikely, but given how open the East is, we all like to say that, how unpredictable things can be in any given season, yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, barring any major injuries, I can definitely say the Cavs, Knicks, Magic, Pistons, those 4 teams right there, I would definitively put ahead of the Bulls. I wouldn't put it past the Celtics either, despite not having Tatum and obviously losing a few of their key guys in Holiday and Porzingis. They're still a decent team and could probably finish top 6 in the East. What about the Sixers? If they stay healthy, unlikely, but if they do, I would put them ahead of the Bulls. And then, of course, the Pacers, even without Halliburton and losing Miles Turner, they still have Siakam, are still a deep team that is strong on both ends of the floor. The Heat, the Hawks, I mean, I just find it hard to see a scenario where so many things could go wrong for some of these other teams and everything goes right for the Bulls for them to finish in the top 6. Next up, we've got meaningful and competitive, fitting name there. Dalen Terry firmly in the rotation by the end of the year. Yeah, I don't see it. If anything, I would argue by the end of the season, the Bulls let him walk and don't even extend him the qualifying offer, which no one has been talking about, by the way. Dalen is actually extension eligible this summer and will be a restricted free agent next summer, and the Bulls have to decide if they're going to pay him a new contract. I hate to say it, but I don't know that Dalen Terry is really an NBA level player. Yeah, he's got some strong areas when it comes to his hustle and defensive tenacity, but he hasn't rounded out his offensive game. His shot is still bad. He doesn't make the best decisions when he's on the court and knowing where he needs to be. So I guess a long-winded way to say it, no. I don't see Dalen getting a firm spot in the rotation. I see a scenario where the Bulls package him in a trade deal before the deadline or let him walk as a free agent next summer. Next up, we've got this one, Isaac Okoro will prove to be the best defender on the team and a fan favorite along the lines of Alex Caruso's tenure as a Bull. Well, I think the main thing that is going to keep Okoro from truly becoming a fan favorite is the fact that a lot of people didn't like the trade where the Bulls moved Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro, similar to how Bulls fans, not all, but some, will never truly embrace Josh Giddey because of the fact that the Bulls traded him for the fan favorite and most valuable asset in Alex Caruso, and also the fact that a lot of people criticize the Bulls for not getting more in return for Caruso in that deal. So despite the fact that I believe anyway that Giddey is actually a great player and showed a lot of growth, improved play, and promise at the end of the season, despite all of that though, you're still going to have Bulls fans finding ways to critique this guy, and a lot of that stems from the frustration from fans towards the front office and trading Alex Caruso for him. So while I don't doubt that Isaac Okoro will likely be the Bulls' best defender, at least for now anyway, we also know that a lot of his flaws are going to show, especially on offense, that will be more noticeable and will likely frustrate fans even further when they have to be reminded of the fact that we traded Lonzo Ball to get this guy when reportedly there was a deal on the table. The Bulls had a first-round pick for Lonzo if they took on Marcus Smart's contract. Next up, we've got GOAT mode. We will go 40-42 for the 27th season in a row, lose the play-in, and Jerry finally sells the team next offseason. We also trade Vucevic for Terry Rozier straight up at midseason. Man, this one was all over the place. I don't disagree. That's very possible the Bulls could win 40 games next season and see a play-in exit once again. I think it will come a little bit differently in the form of nice development from the young players, but I could see it happening. But where you lost me is where Jerry finally sells the team. While it's a dream for all of us, I would be doing backflips all day if that news ever broke, but hate to break it to you, no matter how the Bulls perform, no matter how old Jerry gets, he's never selling this team. And when he dies, given he's in his 80s, his kids are going to take over. This franchise is a well-oiled machine, money-making machine, regardless of how this team performs because of the brand Michael Jordan was able to create for them. And then on that last part, Vucevic getting traded for Terry Rozier, not sure where that one came from. Not a chance the Bulls would ever do this unless the Heat were willing to throw a first-round pick in that deal, which they're not going to do because why are they giving up a first-round pick for Vucevic when Rozier's contract is expiring anyway? I just don't see the benefit of this for either team, really. Let's do this one. Modest will average 20 points per game. It's a massive jump. I don't see it. Not in year 2. I know he averaged 13 points per game after the All-Star break, but even then, you're talking about a significant jump in scoring over a much larger sample size. Like, I know going from 13 to 20, even though really it's 8 since that was his season average, but let's say if we just look at his average post-All-Star break, going from 13 to 20 maybe doesn't seem like much, but it's actually significant. It's significant amount over an 82-game season, especially when I don't see Modest's touches, his usage, his shot attempts going up that much. Yes, they will go up, but they're not going to go up dramatically, unless of course the Bulls trade Vucevic and Kobe, and even then, both those guys are in fact traded. I still see 20 points per game for Miles Bucelis being difficult to achieve in his sophomore season. I hope it happens, of course, but I don't see it being likely. I'll end it there for this version of Your Bulls Hot Takes. Let me know what you guys thought of some of these takes. Let me know in the comments. Keep the hot takes coming. In the meantime, as always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.